Good evening, everyone. I'm calling the school committee meeting of May 19th, 2025 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Ms. Gunther.
Chris Oliver.
Here.
Kathleen Amaral.
Here.
John Nunes.
Yep.
Mary Beckwith.
Here.
Bess Kaufman.
Here. For your information, this meeting is being recorded and will be rebroadcast on DC TV channels 9 on the following days, Wednesday and Thursday at 5, Friday at 6, Saturday at 8 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. The meeting will be rebroadcast on DC TV channels 18 on the following days, Monday and Saturday at 12 p.m. and Thursday at 3 p.m. We now have reserved time for public comment, 10 minutes. So if you wish to say anything that is on the agenda, please approach the mic, state your name, and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes so others can have a say.
Good evening, members of the Dartmouth School Committee. My name is Wakefield. I'm an education support professional at Quinn Elementary School, a proud mother to 3 elementary-aged children who attend our public schools, and
Just did a good job.
Test.
I'm going to start that again, if that's okay by you. Good evening, members of the Dartmouth School Committee. My name is Megan Wakefield. I'm an education support professional at Quinn Elementary School, proud mother to 3 elementary-aged children who attend our public schools, and I'm a tax-paying resident and voting town member in Dartmouth. I'm here tonight because I care deeply about this district. I care as a graduate of the school system. I care as a parent. I care as an employee, and I care as someone who believes that a strong public education system is the backbone of a thriving community. But here's the truth. We who work within our schools are not okay. The people who support and teach Dartmouth's children, the teachers, the ESPs, the support staff, are struggling. Many of us are earning wages that haven't kept up with inflation. Some haven't seen any meaningful raise in years, and even as rent, groceries, gas, and utilities have gone up. As the cost of living has raised significantly over the past 5 years, the premiums for our health insurance continue to skyrocket annually. In some instances, ESPs bring home less than $30,000 a year for full-time work, a number that speaks volumes about how undervalued their essential work truly is. And teachers, despite advanced degrees and years of experience, are seeing healthcare costs eat up any modest increase they receive, if they receive one at all. I know firsthand the hard work that goes into making our schools safe, supportive, and successful. Every day, I walk through the same doors as our teachers, ESPs, support staff, and administrators, and I see people showing up for our kids with everything they've got. We love our jobs, we love our students, but that kind of dedication doesn't pay our bills. We are continually being asked to give more while bringing home less. So I urge you, please come to the table in good faith, settle a fair contract that includes real cost of living, adjustments and affordable health care options. Show us and show our students that Dartmouth stands for fairness, dignity, and respect. The people who keep our schools running shouldn't have to brace themselves when they look at their paycheck. They shouldn't have to work 2 jobs, leave the district, or leave the profession they love entirely just to survive. I'll wrap this up by saying that I am confident that one thing that we can all agree on here is that in our Dartmouth public schools, the students always come first. But that shouldn't mean that our educators come last. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Rochelle Lemieux, and I have been teaching math for 30 years, 17 of which at Dartmouth High School. I'm here on behalf of our math department to share our frustration with the direction to which the math department is being led. Over the past few years, we have been searching for a core math curriculum. Beginning in 2020, our stats curriculum was revamped using StatsMedic, which is a highly rated, free, College Board approved curriculum that we've been using ever since. Our AP students have performed extremely well in these years, and our CCR students are finding success in a challenging fourth year of math. The creators of this curriculum expanded to the core math courses and created what is now known as MathMedic. The entire curriculum is free. We pay a minimal amount for professional training and an assessment platform. We adopted this curriculum for geometry in the 2022-2023 school year for 60% of our sophomores. These students outperformed the other 40% students in MCAS growth by an average of 18%. The following year, we piloted this MathMedic curriculum for Algebra 1 for 60% of the freshmen and successfully completed the entire course. We also covered geometry and stats that year. Again, the students receiving this MathMedic curriculum outperformed the other students not receiving this curriculum. In the past 2 years, we piloted 2 more very expensive options, HMH and Carnegie Learning. We were not able to successfully implement either curriculum and found both to be inadequate to meet the needs of all of our students. But now it appears to us that Carnegie was not actually a pilot, but it is one of the 3-year contract that we are being, I'm sorry, let me start that again. It appears to us that Carnegie was not actually a pilot, but a year 1 of a 3-year contract that we are being told we must use. We have to use it for a 2nd year and possibly a 3rd year, despite the cost and the math department's unanimous assessment that this curriculum is not best for our students. We were also informed today that next school year our department will lose 2 teachers, which means a loss of 10 class sections. This will increase the average class size in CCR to the target max of 24, which we know can go as high as 30 students per class. This will now match our honors classes, which are already at the target max of 24 students. Therefore, we are having our CCR students pay the price for our inability to adequately budget for their education. And as we all know, it is this group that includes our students with all our learning disabilities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Seeing no further people wishing to speak, we will move on to approval of the minutes. Seeking a motion to approve the regular minutes of May 5th.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, excuse me. No, I was going to say, who made motion by Chris Oliver and seconded by Amaral. And any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Chair, I'll abstain as I was not here.
Okay, that makes it 4 ayes, 1 abstention. And I am now seeking a motion for the executive minutes of May 5th, 2025.
So moved, Madam Chair, with the stipulation that they be held until the matter for which they were intended is complete.
Second.
Motion by Mr. News, second by Ms. Beckwith. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions?
I'll abstain, Madam Chair.
So 4 ayes, 1 abstention. And next up, we have the student representative reports from Jordan Rosenberg.
Good evening. We've been busy at Dartmouth High School as we finish out the school year. We want to start by sharing gratitude for our teachers and staff in the district. We recently celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week and are so grateful for the amazing educators our district has. We thank you for all that you do. 2 weeks ago, our Unified Arts Department hosted their art show. The talent displayed was incredible. Congrats to all involved. Last week was a busy week over at Dartmouth High School with several exciting things happening. We hosted the Special Olympics on Friday, which was an amazing experience for all, and the class of 2026 had their junior banquet, as well as wrapping up with AP exams. This week, our 10th graders take the Math MCAS, so good luck to our students. Spring sports are wrapping up in the upcoming weeks. We want to shout out all of our athletes and coaches who made the spring season a success. Lastly, we want to celebrate our class of 2025. As there are only a few more days left, we want to remember all of the amazing experiences we've had at our time at Dartmouth High School and cherish these moments. As we look forward to finishing out our classes, prom, and then graduation, we want to congratulate all for such a great accomplishment and wish all graduates much success in their future endeavors. Thank you for taking the time to recognize us this evening.
Nice job.
Thank you, Jordan. Any comments? No?
Thank you. That was great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jordan.
And you are welcome to stay, but of course, it is a busy time of year, so if you'd like to leave, that would be fine.
Say it again.
Next up, we have a consent agenda. I'm going to turn over to Dr. Saba McGuire.
So this is an item that's been on your agenda for many, many years, and this is that we're recommending approval for SMEC to lease one classroom at Dartmouth High School, and they also have a small office space as well as 2 additional classrooms at the Quinn School for the 2025-26 school year.
Any questions?
Standard housekeeping.
So I have 2 questions. One is, how do we determine the increase in rent?
I can certainly answer that as being on the board.
Okay.
The SMEC board, that's something that is voted on by the member districts every year, and I believe this year, well, I don't have it in front of me, is a 3%, is a 3% increase. So Catherine Cooper comes to the executive board of SMEC, which is made up of school committee members of about a dozen, or not dozen, but maybe 10 member districts, and that gets approved by all the members.
Terrific. And then my second question is, where does the money go? Does it go to the school? Does it go to the town?
So it goes to a use of facilities revolving fund in which we can buy supplies for the school or even make some modest repairs or improvements. This year it'll be $34,000, but for fiscal year 26 it'll be $34,162.
Terrific. Any other questions, discussions? We don't make a motion, we just vote? We need a motion. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the FY26 leases for the Southeastern Massachusetts Educational Collaborative in Dartmouth.
Second.
So motion by Mr. Oliver, second by Ms. Emerald. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Madam Chair, since I'm the treasurer of SMEC and I was involved in the budget
Okay.
of this, I will abstain.
Okay, so 4 ayes, 1 abstention. And next up, we have a presentation of a school improvement plan, so I'll pass that along.
Thank you. So I would
Again.
invite, I see Mrs. Correa making her way to the podium along with Mr. Hill. And I think this is our final school improvement presentation of the 2024-25 school year. And what I think that the look-fors here are, and I hope you're able to clearly see how aligned not only the elementary schools are, but the elementary schools with the middle and the high school, and how we're really working toward strategic initiative, which 1, which is the alignment of our curriculum pre-K to 12. How are you doing there? Yeah, okay, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. So I want to start off by thanking you for this opportunity for Mr. Hill and I to present our DeMello School Improvement Plan this evening. And I feel like I'm going to give a lot of shout outs and acknowledgments today in this presentation. So I'm just going to start by shouting out Dr. Thomas from the Quinn School, who gave Melissa McHenry and I a shout out at her SIP presentation, because we have been collaborating together on developing our SIPs. And she mentioned at her presentation that it was wonderful to be able to work with other elementary principals in the district on this important work. And I just want to, like I said, shout it back out to her and Melissa McHenry, she's waving at me, and thank them for their support and their input on the SIP we're about to share tonight. I do want to acknowledge that this is the last SIP presentation, so you have probably heard quite a bit about school improvement plans. I'm going to try not to overwhelm with any new acronyms or things that that you might not be too familiar with, but you will see some common goals, some common action steps in our school improvement plan that look a lot like Potter and Quinn School's action steps. And that is because, one, the principals did do a lot of work on this together, but two, it is really because I'm trying to advance this, Mr. Hill. How do I advance this? Yeah, no, I did it. I figured that out. All of our work is driven by our district strategic plan. Mr. Hill and I affectionately refer to it as the North Star. Yes. And so it will sound familiar. There will be some common threads throughout the presentation. So we will be talking about all 4 strategic focus areas today. And here comes another acknowledgement. Before we begin with focus area 1, which is on teaching and learning, I'd like to acknowledge and thank our DeMello SILT. A SILT is a school instructional leadership team. And simply stated, our SILT is the engine that is behind our school improvement efforts at DeMello. So our team, many of whom is seated right here with us tonight, is made up of educators throughout the building. So we have our math and our literacy coaches. So that would be Jen Fitton, who is here, and Lori O'Neill, who is not pictured. She wasn't here on the day that we took the picture. We have our interventionists. So we have 2 reading interventionists, Dr. Lisa Massioni and Lisa Reitzis. We have 2 math interventionists, Deb McGillick and Kelly D'Ambrosio. We also have 2 of our special educators, Megan Miniglia and Melissa Medeiros, our EL teacher, Carrie DeJesus, as well as classroom teachers, Leslie Gamache, Cheryl Cam, Robin Colbeck, and Sarah Sand. Sarah's also not pictured in our SILT team photo. So our SILT team meets over the course of the year and over the summer really to guide our instructional vision for DeMello School, and we do this through analyzing data, identifying strengths, areas of strengths, as well as identifying areas that we want to work on as a school. And the action steps under Focus Area 1 are largely a product of this team's collaboration. And Gabby Damaris, I should have acknowledged you also. She missed our last meeting and is also not in the picture. But this is the work that I'm going to present under Focus Standard 1, Focus Area 1 is largely a product of this team's hard work and their commitment to strengthening both teaching and learning at the DeMello School. So Focus Area 1, teaching and learning, we all know is about meeting our students' diverse needs through high quality instruction and vertically and horizontally aligned curricula. So our first action step in this area is one that we share with Potter and Quinn, and it centers on a strong and supported implementation of our new literacy program that I'm sure you've heard a lot about. So I know you've heard about the process that the district undertook that led us to the selection of CKLA, which is the name of that program, and I'd like to acknowledge the teachers in our building that served on that district team, of educators in piloting and doing the hard work in selecting the right program for our district. And they are Cheryl Cam, Kelsey Grant, Melissa Pickering, Robin Colbeck, and co-teaching teams Amanda Deppen and Megan Maniglia, and Lynn Baker and Sarah Kudo. So while our goal next year is to ensure that our teachers receive the supports necessary to implement CKLA with integrity, this group of educators that piloted and served on this committee has already stepped up in our building to bring their colleagues into the work this year. So after CKLA was adopted, our piloting teachers continued to teach it. And almost immediately, they opened their classrooms to their colleagues throughout the building for learning walks to observe CKLA lessons. And by the end of May, the end of this month, each grade level team in our building will have conducted at least 3 learning walks, some more, in various classrooms. And this has been incredibly helpful to our teachers across the building who've had the opportunity to observe different components of the program. They've seen writing, they've seen the reading instruction, but they've also seen the assessment aspects. So I feel like they've gotten a really strong picture of what this program will bring. And it is really thrilled our teachers. For the most part, the feedback is so wonderful. And we continue through our first action step to support our teachers next year in learning from and supporting one another in the full implementation of CKLA in the fall. All right, moving on to our second school-based action step. We are establishing a school-wide focus on developing academic discourse across all classrooms and grade levels. So this action step is a continuation and a broadening of some work that we started this year in bringing academic discourse to classrooms at DeMello. So when we talk about academic discourse, we talk about kids engaging, questioning, reasoning with their peers in the classroom, and it's so necessary to promote critical thinking, collaboration, and deep learning in classroom environments. And last fall, under the guidance of our EL teacher, Carrie DeJesus, we had 4 teachers who volunteered to start working on integrating academic discourse in their classrooms. And we are hoping to get together over the summer and work on bringing those 4 teachers along with Mr. DeJesus to the table to develop some PD for the fall as we launch this school-wide initiative. We really want to be able to walk into classrooms and see our students engaging at a high level and digging in. We think that CKLA is going to be wonderful for doing this. We know our math program is also well suited for this, and we just want to make it a focus throughout the building. Our third action step under this area is to reestablish and strengthen our multi-tiered systems of support. We call that MTSS, and you might be wondering what that is. It's a school-wide approach, simply stated, to meet our students' academic and behavioral needs through multiple levels or tiers of support. So next year, our school instructional leadership team, along with the social emotional learning team that Mr. Hill heads, will collaborate to strengthen and refine a streamlined process and protocols for more effectively using data to inform the decisions and the interventions that we're providing our students at DeMello. Moving along. And our fourth and final action step in this area is to establish a school-wide focus also on providing our students with more opportunities to work with meaningful, relevant, and challenging math in the classroom every day. This action step was drafted in response to the work that our SILT has done, looking at math data. And it's also come from our interventionists, our math team, as they work with students across classrooms and buildings. We'd like to see students digging more deeply into math at DeMello School. We had a school-wide focus all year long on being a math person and bringing math to everyone and getting students to understand that they can all be math people. And we want our students to grapple and to engage in productive struggle in meaningful ways that will build their proficiency and their confidence in math. This action step is really rooted in the standards for mathematical practice, which are part of the Common Core state standards for math. And the standards for mathematical practice describe how students should engage in math not just what they should know. When we think about the standards, we just think about the concepts that kids need to master. The standards of mathematical practice really tell us how kids get there. And for the upcoming school year, our teachers are going to focus on 2 specific standards of the 8 standards for mathematical practice, which really center on building students' ability to make sense of problems and persevere through solving them, and teaching students to construct arguments and critique the reasoning of others. And this kind of dovetails really nicely with the work that we'll be doing around academic discourse. If you move ahead in focus area 2, there is a goal that's around designing professional development. And we will seek to provide our teachers and staff next year with professional development and collaborative opportunities that support strong instruction and personal growth. Earlier this year, we sent out a survey asking staff to identify areas of professional development that they were interested in pursuing. And Mr. Hill and I will work with the SILT and the SEL team in using the results of this survey to fine-tune PD opportunities that are differentiated and meet the teachers' needs in a format that they find engaging and motivating. So that is all for Focus Area 1, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hill for Focus Area 2.
Okay, so to focus on the safe and supportive schools, I thought what I'd do is I would read for you what the action steps are and then kind of summarize in my own words what we'll be doing at DeMello. So to collaborate with a behavior specialist to expand the use of proactive behavior management strategies, fostering social emotional learning, and provide targeted supports to students needing assistance in developing appropriate behaviors. This year has been a wonderful year where we've had the opportunity to work with Miss Lisa Gibson, who is the BCBA, newly hired to Dartmouth, shared among the other elementary schools. And she's just been a wealth of knowledge for us as she's not only taught us strategies, again, proactive strategies, but she's also modeled those strategies for us and continuously is working to train our staff on how to best meet the needs of those kiddos from a social emotional standpoint, behavioral standpoint. And our goal for the next year is to continue to work and collaborate with her and have her sit in on team meetings, provide professional development. All of that has been, it was wonderful this year, and we're looking forward for that for next year. All right. Number 2, action step number 2 is to implement school-wide practices to promote neuroaffirming learning environment through training staff in neurodiversity, informed strategies, adapting classroom structures to support sensory and cognitive differences, and fostering inclusive mindsets that validate all learners' strengths and needs. So I thought I would start by just giving a quick definition of what neuroaffirming means. And what it essentially means is recognizing and valuing the diverse ways the brains function rather than viewing differences as a problem to be corrected. So our hope and goal for next year is to continue the collaboration of the number of teams that we have. We have an SEL team. We actually have 2 PBIS teams, Tier 1 and Tier 2. And our hope is to provide PD to our staff members, focusing on strategies that will enhance our staff's ability to meet kiddos where they're at. And that could be behaviorally, cognitively, through sensory needs. So, and one thing just to point out, as we are all continuously working on this, academics, behavior is skill-based. And if a child does not have those skills, they're not going to be at their best and most available for learning. So what I wanted to just quickly say, an entry point into this action step is step 1 is to connect with our kiddos, which is something DeMello teachers, all of us pride ourselves on doing. But the hope and goal is that with continuous collaboration, we'll have a deeper understanding of our kiddos' needs, our student needs, and focusing in on those supports, specifically behavioral supports. It's an and, it's not an or. So if we can focus those behavioral supports, then essentially we'll see our students thrive academically. So that's action step number 2. And then number 3 is to collect staff and student feedback after each safety drill to assess the effectiveness and update protocols as needed.
gaining input from staff and students is so important. We've done a number of practices this year, and, it can be scary, right, at first for our little ones, especially to practice these drills, whether, they're reverse evacuations or, a number of the drills that we're working on. But we're practicing them through different times of the day. Evacuating during lunch it was interesting. But the more we can practice, the better they'll be, the more confident they'll be in the event that it's not a drill. So just updating those protocols and hearing feedback is essential, and we continue to do that. All right. So that was pretty quick. You were much more elaborate than I was, but you did. Okay. Do you take it on 3? All right, great.
So for Focus Area 3, which is on family and community engagement, to strengthen family and community engagement, we plan to deliver family-centered events in the evening and during the school day. So our members of our math team were here this year. They planned a Bring Your Family to School Day, 6 different ones, one for each grade level, and invited parents, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, and families, any caregivers, into DeMello School to learn math games that would promote their students' foundational skills in a fun way. And I was concerned about how the turnout would be, and we had an overwhelming number of caregivers come to each session. We have a couple of more in the pike, and I anticipate they'll be well attended. And when we talk to parents and caregivers, what we learn is that it's often easier to take an hour and a half out of your day, your work day, to come to school for an event than it is to get everyone home, get dinner on the table, bring this one to sports, bring this one to dance, and then try to get the other to a school event. So we would like to explore offering more opportunities during the school day for families to come in and engage, and we're looking forward to planning some of those events over the summer. We will keep our traditional evening events, but I would love to have a hybrid of both going forward. Next year, we would also really like to partner with our PTO as well as local community groups to bring some caretaker focused work to DeMello School. We'd love to have family nights, caregiver nights, where people can come in and learn about some critical issues that we think we need to educate the community more about, from promoting literacy at home. We want our kids to be reading a lot more than they're reading in some cases, to exploring how screen time affects student development. So the PTO is very excited to do this. We're already looking into some names of some people in the area who we might be able to bring in through the PTO to deliver some of these. And what we'd like to do is have a live in-person event each time, but also have a virtual component to it, and then record it for parents who aren't able to come virtually or in person, so that they have access to that information. And that is it for Focus Area 3, a lot shorter. So I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Hill.
Okay, so budget and capital improvements. I'm essentially just going to read you the action steps, and that is to collaborate with district leaders and school stakeholders to develop a comprehensive plan that outlines the building's needs, their impact on student achievement and operations, and recommend solutions. Action step number 2 is to explore all potential funding sources, including district funds, grants, and community partnerships, to ensure necessary resources are available to support student and learning success.
Questions? Thank you very much. Yes, questions? I will say, if no one's jumping right in there, that I love that you want to expand educational nights for families on things that affect their kids deeply. And I hope that when you make the videos for them to watch, that they will also be available for the whole community to watch. Yeah. Anybody?
Yeah, no, I'll just say, great presentation. I appreciate once again, the alignment with the district strategic plan, and certainly see that through all the schools that have presented. And no, I'm excited to see what next year brings to DeMello and your SILT team and everything that you've put together here. So, job well done.
I mean, a great, if I might, we'll go down the road now. Great work. I agree with my colleague, like, nice alignment to the district strategic plan. I really appreciate your outside of the box thinking around engaging families in a unique way. And I also really appreciate the work that you're doing with the neurodiversity. And, you know, I believe, you know, having 3 children, all very unique, in preparing for the most difficult, the most challenging in a proactive way, having those tools in your toolbox as an educator can only help you for when any child or a colleague comes into work having had a bad evening or something, you know, go on, that when you have those tools and that ability to kind of think about what, you know, Lisa Gibson or someone else has imparted, the wisdom that they've imparted to you, and thinking in ways to support students and your fellow colleagues. I think it's a win. So it prepares us for the bigger picture. So I just really appreciate your focus, all of what you shared, but those 2 things in particular stood out to me. So thank you.
I agree with my colleagues, and thank you very much. You know, it was the question that I have is your BCBA, is she the one that came up with explaining, like, the how the brain works and that type of deal, or is that just a science?
Is she the one that came up with it?
Well, I think it's a collaborative effort where I'm looking over here at Dr. Heather Noyes-Fredette, who also did a professional development, you know, learning about the neurodiversity and neuroaffirming approaches and whatnot. So it's actually started there, but it's certainly carried over with what Lisa Gibson does. And again, she focuses on the research base, and, you know, what research says is something that we take very, obviously we listen to her, and she helps guide us with that. So
we're really fortunate to have the Lisa Gibsons, the Dr. Heathers. Really, everyone on staff has something to bring, and we've learned a lot, a tremendous amount from both of them just this year.
Right.
Very thankful to have them.
Thank you. Great job. Appreciate. You know, they've all been super this year, and how they've lined up with the strategic plan. So thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to know, too, the neuroaffirming training that you're doing, because to see neurodiversity as a strength is really important. And as we're seeing a wider range of neurodiversity in students, we're seeing it at the higher ed level as well. Mm-hmm. I think it's really important to learn to adjust to the individual, which I know is difficult to do in a classroom full of children. Mm-hmm. So I'm impressed with that, and
Great.
We'll be anxious to see next year at this time.
Yeah, we're certainly excited for it.
I was going to say, we would love to have you visit us and talk more about it.
Okay, I definitely will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Saban-McGuire, you have something to say?
I do. I just want to add that, you know, before we talk about your school improvement plan, your reference to the Lisa Gibson position, and I know that's been really well received. I want to thank the committee, because that was the position that you approved for us last year. We came to you, we told you that we saw a real need for a position that could be in the district on a consistent basis, and not that we didn't have outside supports, and we have folks now out in our schools doing that work, but that was a position that we brought in knowing that our educators were searching for more consistent and timely support. And that position has certainly paid off for us in lots of ways this year. So that social emotional learning piece that we've committed to at the district level, this is where you see evidence that it is, in fact, having real impact. So I just want to thank the committee for supporting us with that position last year. And then as far as the school improvement plan, I mean, what I'm so excited about is there's a plan. I mean, there is a plan, and you can hear, and I thank all of our school leaders and our school-based folks, because when Mrs. Correa talks about the school improvement leadership team, those folks, when you come to the table, whether you know it in that moment or not, what you're sharing and that work that you're doing together is in fact informing the work that we're doing at the district level through the schools, because after all, we can have the best district strategic plan on paper, and it can look pretty and it can sound good, but at the end of the day, it's how the schools are using that plan that, I remind people, was informed by the folks in this school district. So I'm really excited to see it all come together. And as I think Mr. Oliver or someone said, we can't wait to see, like, really, as we start to be able to report out to you the impact that these plans are having on teaching, learning. And I laugh when teaching and learning is the longest part. There's a reason it's the longest part. It's because that's actually the work that we do in our schools, and everything else supports that most important work, which is teaching and learning. So I thank you for the hard work that you've all done. Thank you. And I thank the committee again for your support, because when we want to be able to come back to you and say, look, this had impact, and you just got to hear that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving along, we're on,
Madam Chair,
oh, yes.
make a motion that we approve.
Oh, we have to approve that, sorry.
The Joseph DeMello School Improvement Plan.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Noon, second by Ms. Beckwith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. And now we move on to old business, and I will turn it over to Dr. Saba McGuire to talk about.
And I'm going to then turn it right over to, I know Mr. Kiley has a few slides that he wants to share with you, and you know he's been involved with the long-range capital planning team for well, I think a couple 2 years now. And what I'm excited about, what he's about to share with you, is that we're really starting to see more than just a plan formed, but something on paper that I really do believe we're going to see some action. So,
thank you, Dr.
Mr.
Saba
Conley.
McGuire. So the presentation that the Long-Term Capital Planning Committee has proposed is scrolling through the screen right now. I'm not sure why it's scrolling.
But you can't blame me this time.
Fairly rapidly scrolling through the screen. Might be hard for me to keep up with that. So this is, not my presentation. This is a presentation that was created by the Long-Term Capital Improvement Planning Committee, and the town moderator has been gracious enough to give that Long-Term Planning Committee time at town meeting when the capital improvement article comes up. Mr. Tattlebaum will be presenting this presentation. It'll be a fairly brief presentation, I think about 8 to 10 minutes. We'll take a look at some of the school relevant pages now. It's 10 pages in total, including the cover book. What is particularly important is that if you look at the top projects that are identified on this list, this includes possible start dates, and it has the Dartmouth High School roof and windows as number one over there on the left, with a possible start date of 2026. The DMS replacement is number 4 on the list with a 2028 start. DeMello and Potter schools are number 7 on the list with a 2030 and 2035 start. Quinn is on the list at number 8 with a 2040 start. And Dartmouth Memorial Stadium is also on the list at number 9 with a TBD, let's see what we can do type plan. I think that's encouraging. I think that this group is made up of folks that the selectmen, appointed to this group, and I think there's a recognition amongst everyone there that the schools are an important investment that needs to be made, and it can't be made 10 years from now. We need to move this process forward. So I think that's reflective of the list here. There are other priorities in town that are also going to require investment. And it was important. Everyone worked together to make sure that was represented in this. For instance, drinking water and wastewater and so forth. So there's a slide about public works. I won't really get into that. As I mentioned, the schools are indicated here. The stadium will be on the next slide, so we'll see that in a minute. Again, so these just have a very brief description of the individual situation with each of those school buildings. We've sort of lumped DeMello and Potter together because they're kind of lumped together. They were built at the same time. They are in pretty much the same exact condition and should be addressed at approximately the same time. So those are listed here. What we're calling community services. They've incorporated Memorial Stadium on there with a couple of other projects. We have a timeline showing the dates that are really reflected on that top 10 priority sheet. Some discussion here related to schools and payment options. It does reference the MSBA and the necessity for us to move forward and do that. So I may have mentioned this before, but I do think that in the next regular MSBA cycle, it would be time for us to initiate a statement of interest for the Dartmouth Middle School property. And so we can talk more about that, but I think that would be something next year to do. And then finally, that group is hoping to have a series of forums in which folks can come out and learn more about the projects and ask questions, have some dialogue. There are no dates here. We're talking about in September. September's a busy month, shockingly, for us, right? We're just getting back to school. We have 2 school committee meetings on September 8th and the 22nd. We have all the back-to-school nights and lots of stuff going on. I was looking, they'd like to publish a date when they make this presentation. So we can take a look at our calendars and see how that, maybe the 3rd week in September looks, because that would be in between school committee meetings and after back-to-school nights. So the week of September 15th is a Monday. It doesn't have to be on a Monday. In fact, I think they're shooting for Wednesdays. Yeah. They're talking about, or Thursdays, kind of midweek, maybe Wednesday, September 17th. But if over the next, we have until town meeting to pick this date, but town meeting's coming up pretty quick. But if we can schedule it tonight, that would be great. If not, we can, get back to them with some date. At that, I would assume that what we are going to do so we'll prepare some sort of presentation, and we'll have to work obviously with the school committee before we are ready to present that in September, highlighting the issues that exist amongst those facilities, just so that people have something to take a look at and can understand what we're dealing with these schools, and then have an opportunity for people to ask questions. So, and that's the plan.
It's a plan.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, it's long overdue, and I've got to say, I know Mr. Tattlebaum was a major factor in driving the creation of this group. I had received some feedback from a member or two of the school committee about school committee representation on the group, and I think that is 100% welcome. The select board created the group, and my understanding is that the town administration is going to be bringing it back up to the select board after town meeting to add members to the group. So there would be some school committee member sitting on the group. So I think that'll be helpful, to sort of spread the word and have a representative on the group, because while I live in these buildings all the time, it would be nice to have one of you there with me too, advocating for us. But yeah, so it's been a great group. They've made tons of progress, and just the fact that they recognize that this work needs to be done is a huge step in the process. So, questions, thoughts, comments? I can offer feedback to the Long-Term Capital Planning Committee too, if you have some.
Mr. Nunes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Kiley, and to the Capital Improvement Committee for this. Is, in a nutshell, this is a start.
Yeah.
I think as to what we need. Number one, just personally, at the moment, the week of the 15th of September is wide open for me, so I'm good.
Okay.
I would, not knowing what, and again, just, it makes sense, but probably be a home football game on the 19th, on a Friday night,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
But other than that, that week is fine. Have they attempted, pie in the sky, spin around 3 times in a chair and pull a number out of a hat as to what the costs of some of these projects would be,
So
type of deal?
yeah, yes. So initially, and we're not ready to publish that, and that's part of this. I mean, projecting the cost out to 2040 for the Quinn School right now is impossible, right? But we did look at it, and what was important to note is that there's a great deal of borrowing capacity in the town currently. We don't have much debt on the books, so we have the ability to move forward and actually complete projects right now. They would require, a large project, obviously, like, a middle school project or an elementary school project would require a debt exclusion vote, and it would, be a long-term borrowing. But there is capacity to do that. We also feel that it's not unaffordable to do if we space these out enough. It's possible that we could accomplish something in the next 50 years where all of these things are taken care of. Yeah. Some can't wait, but some will have to, I suppose. But yeah, it's not impossible to make this work.
Good. I mean, if there's debt capacity, I mean, put my finance hat on for a second. If you retire debt this year, you should replace it with debt, only because if you take that money and throw it into a general operating and leave it, when you go to put the money back to debt, you're in trouble. So
exactly,
that's
level debt service would be ideal, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that there's an acknowledgement that we got to for a while that is sort of what we were trying to do, I think, in town, and got away from that a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously the high school came off the books, and
that was exclusion. So that's all I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yep. Anybody else?
No, I think my comment is similar to what I'm hearing, is that it's a plan, it's a step, and it centers the needs of the whole community, and it seems to incorporate all of the needs. So it's encouraging, and it's a first step.
I would agree.
All right, so we don't meet before town meeting, so can we all look at our calendars and see that, so that we can give them an answer before town meeting?
I'm on board with what Mr. Noon said. Week of
Okay.
the 15th.
Same, Wednesday better
I'm
than
open too.
Thursday, but.
Yeah.
We're talking, yeah, I'm
I mean, if you look at, 16, 17, 18.
15?
So are they looking for 3 separate dates?
Oh, yeah, but just one for us.
Okay.
One date
Yep.
for
Great.
the schools, one date for Public Works, and one date for the other projects, although I suppose that we need to be represented at the community service thing, too, in terms of the
Yeah.
stadium. So, but-
Pick that.
They have Wednesday up there. Did they want Wednesday, or do you think
It doesn't matter. I mean, if another date is better, we could do a Tuesday, a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, I think we'd stay away from Friday probably.
Yep.
But.
Yeah, okay, so everybody's good for the 17th, or?
Yeah, the Wednesday's fine, the 17th.
Wednesday the 17th, okay. Thank you all. I'll let them know, and let them know that you're encouraged by the progress, so I appreciate it.
And ongoing budget FY '26?
Yeah. Okay, so something that I think is important, and it's related to budget, is that we know we can't ignore that we have our faculty and staff who have been obviously outside and holding signs and coming to town meetings, school committee meetings. And we just want to acknowledge and validate how important that we believe that is for our staff and faculty as a group. And we also want to acknowledge that we really don't want you to have to do that. We shouldn't want our faculty and staff to have to advocate for themselves by standing outside of meetings and holding signs and having to come to public comment to make statements about why it's so important to value your educators and your staff. But something that I'm just going to focus on for a couple of minutes is related to negotiations, in that we are continuing to emphasize the importance of arriving at a fair and a sustainable agreement. And this is an agreement that does need to properly value its professionals, and we need to acknowledge, and I think we do, that our professionals and our supporting staff, they are the backbones of our student success. And that's true every single day. And we did hear one of our ESPs talk directly to that this evening. The current health insurance infrastructure right now, it's a significant financial hardship for most employees who take the insurance in this community. And this should be unacceptable. Healthcare should be accessible, and it should be affordable. It's not only a basic need, but it's a critical factor, and it does indeed affect recruitment. It affects our retention and our overall sense of well-being in our community at large. Educators and staff should not be forced to make difficult choices about health care. And we're fully supporting working toward a contract that is fair to our employees and fiscally responsible for the district. And that includes advocating for improvements to our benefits package, especially related to health insurance. We're committed to prioritizing this work in partnership with our school committee, in partnership with other town departments, and the residents of the Dartmouth community as we continue long-term planning. As you see, we're talking about long-term capital planning, but we're also talking about long-term planning designed, again, to support the education of our young people, which is, of course, of primary importance in any community. We have faced some adjustments this year, but we do want to focus on a path forward. Specifically, how can we work together to address these critical concerns over time? Because it does need to be over time. It didn't happen overnight, and it won't be solved overnight. But we do want to work toward creating sustainable solutions. We share the same goal. All of us share the same goal, and that's to create a work environment that values staff, that supports our students, and strengthens our schools and the greater community. We appreciate our educators for their advocacy. We appreciate our staff for their advocacy, and we support you in pursuing more affordable health insurance options and improved compensation as we move forward. That's a goal that we all have, and I think that we can, and I know our team, I know in talking with members of the committee individually, we all share the same goal. And it's about how we have put together a plan that allows us to get there. Mr. Kiley, I don't know if you want to add anything about where we are in the budget process, because we are in turn grateful for some of the movement that the town has made to address some of the significant concerns that we had around the ESSER-funded positions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dr. Saban McGuire. No, I'm just pleased to report that the Select Board and Finance Committee both unanimously supported our 4.4% budget proposal. So
That's great.
So,
Thank you.
and that's reflected on the Schedule A for the town meeting warrant, which just came out today. So,
Good.
And I would say I'm also pleased that our budget was recommended, but being mindful that our budget requests were not all funded. We didn't ask for them because there isn't the money to fund them. And we, the committee, are mindful that our health insurance benefit package is not what it should be. But I do believe that the high deductible plan that the town worked on several years ago is a real step in the right direction. It just needs to be more accessible to all of our employees. So a hurdle is money, and I don't think that we're going to solve all of those issues without money, but we are, as Dr. Saban McGuire said, moving hopefully towards supporting all our teachers and staff, educators, and hopefully we can get the whole town behind us with more monetary support so we can meet those needs. And anybody else on the budget? Questions, statements?
Said my pieces.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. New business.
Okay.
Superintendent's update.
Great. So I'll mention MCAS because, believe it or not, I feel like I've been talking about it for a few months, and I think that people, the educators and the students and the parents and the principals would say, yeah, it's been going on for a few months. And I just want to thank Jonathan and his team for the support they are out there giving to the schools on an ongoing basis. Our technology team, our coaches, I know I mentioned this last time, but this isn't just a one and done. This really does take a significant amount of time. I'd also mention the National Honor Society. I'm pleased to share that this year's ceremony was my first here in Dartmouth, and it was quite an event honoring the character, achievement, and character of 70 outstanding students who were selected based on the pillars of scholarship, service, leadership, and character. And it was truly a memorable evening, and I enjoyed being there. So congratulations to all of our new inductees and their families and staff who have supported them along the way. We already talked about budget and capital improvement, but I will give you an update under what's going on with human resources. The first round of interviews for the Potter School Assistant Principal and the Dartmouth High School Associate Principal have taken place. We will be conducting final interviews this week, so we expect by the end of the week or early next week be able to share those folks that have been selected for those positions. And again, a lot of time goes into this, and I want to thank the folks that took time out of their really busy schedules to participate in these interviews and give their input. As we know, hiring for those positions are really critical to the success of our schools. There are some other positions that you see that are being posted pretty much on a daily basis as we respond to movement that's happening across the district, whether it's content teachers at the high school, middle school, special educators. I mean, we're hopeful that we'll be able to fill those positions. We're happy to have those positions advertised as early as possible because we do want to capitalize on folks that are this is hiring season for us in our field, and we want to make sure that we're able to attract the best folks that are the right fit for Dartmouth. So for family and community engagement, you know as well as I that there's something going on just about every single day, as Mrs. Correa referred to, every single day and every single night here in the Dartmouth schools. These schools, if you drive through town, you'll see the parking lots are really busy places, and I expect that only to increase over the next couple of weeks. We celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week. I cannot not acknowledge the PTO and the staff, the leadership staff out in the schools who really do so many creative things to honor the faculty and staff in their buildings. There were quite a few luncheons that I keep up to date on what's going on across the district, who's getting what, and I have to say there were some good menus out there for people to enjoy throughout the week. And then just on behalf of Central Office, we sent an ice cream truck to each school after the Teacher Appreciation Week because we knew they would not be able to indulge in any more treats during the week of Teacher Appreciation. So we just want to, again, just let our educators know how much we appreciate everything that they do every day. We want to recognize Mass Hire. Mass Hire has generously benefited our school this year, our high school, with over $15,000 in grant funding to help cover transportation and field trip related costs. Thanks to their support, you hear us update you on some of the experiences that our students have been able to participate in, and in particular, Devin Robatale, I hope I said that right, who is our contact at Mass Hire, and of course Mr. Parade, whose support makes all of this happen. So we're really grateful for those opportunities. And again, those are like the small kinds of grants that make a big difference in what we're able to provide for our students. Under safe and supportive schools, I want to highlight something from our many of you were able to participate or to visit the civics the middle school civics presentations, and really exemplified the power of student voice and civic engagement in action. Mr. Kiley and I had an opportunity to sit with a group of 8th grade students who, I would say across the board, students were serious about the presentations that they made, and that they made a connection to being able to make real world changes using their voices. One in particular I'm just going to mention, we had a group of 8th grade girls who met with us, and they passionately advocated for the availability of menstrual products in the girls' bathroom throughout the school at the middle school level. And when they presented their rationale, it was so incredibly logical that we looked at each other and said, how could we have missed this for so long? Because, of course, that's the exact age where you want young women to have access to those kind of products. And so with Mr. Kiley and others, we were able to immediately, in the moment, respond to them, and they were just so excited, and really an example of student voice making a tangible difference in the community, because that came from them. Special Olympics this past Friday at the high school. I was able to come over. Again, the number of our staff and educators who are out there on those fields supporting our students is really remarkable. And it is really, I think, validating to see the other communities that are coming to Dartmouth to participate in those kind of experiences, and with people like Mike Capello, John Brout, and others, Laurie Denisio and Kim Redlawn, I know, along with our special educators. And really, I can't tell you the number of people that I saw coming from the elementary schools just to be able to reconnect with students that they had prior. So it's such a meaningful delightful event, and just the energy and the spirit of the event is one that I'd say is the best way to describe it is joyous. And those are the kinds of experiences and opportunities we want our students to have, not just our special ed students, but the students who are here in the high school who are out there on the field supporting each other. That's what I think that when we talk about creating inclusive environments, that's a shining example of what we mean by inclusivity and just our students feeling that they really belong here. And so that is my superintendent's report.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So, new business. I did want to mention that last meeting we had said we wanted a joint meeting with the select board, but due to the fact that they did support our budget, the feeling was we did not need that. But next year we'll look into it. Also, we talked briefly last meeting about a goal-setting retreat in August, and we were thinking of maybe putting aside August 18th. Mr. Nunes wasn't there, but I was wondering if people could just look at their calendars and say whether that works or not.
Because we're meeting the 25th, right?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
August 18th, you said?
That is correct.
What time?
It would be 5:30. Does that work?
Yep, works
Yeah.
for me.
Okay. And it works for you?
Yep.
All right.
Would that be here?
It would be at Bush Street.
Bush Street? Okay.
Yeah, that sounds
Okay. And then along the lines of we have the town meeting coming up, and of course we're happy and hopeful that our school budget will pass town meeting. I did want to mention one other warrant item, which is asking whether the town wanted to allow people who have the training and the license to open carry to be able to do that in town-owned buildings, not including schools. Prior to this, all of Massachusetts didn't allow that, but our legislators just changed that and is allowing towns to exempt out of it. And so there's a warrant to allow people who have a license to do that to carry in town hall, in libraries, not schools. I just wanted to share that I do not think it makes our children safer to have guns in our public spaces. Also, many of our town-owned properties are close to our schools or close to playgrounds where our children are. So I just wanted to say that that is a warrant item, and I do think it affects our children. And so I hope that town meeting members will consider that when they vote. Anybody else have any updates?
Yeah, Madam.
Yep, Mr. Nunes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As far as like a meeting with, I know I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I did catch bits and pieces and that, and yeah, I for one was not pleased that we didn't get the invite to that meeting, but that's water over the dam. I'm not, but depending what's going on in October, maybe we ought to look at a possibility of something then. You know, and you know, depending what we need and what's going on in the town at that point in time, I'll just, you know, as you say, put it out there and think about it.
Yeah, let's be proactive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that type of deal. I know Dr. Saber McGuire talked about Mass Hire, and I'm just wondering if, you know, between the gentleman from Mass Hire and, you know, Mr. Shea and Mr. Parati, if they can put, you know, at our next meeting, put some type of a presentation on that together, and
I'm sure
what they-
Mr.
what they've
Parati's
done.
listening back there, and he's very excited and would love to have that
you know,
opportunity.
Just, I mean, in number one, we as a committee can say thank you to Mass Hire and, put faces to names, as they say.
Anybody else?
That's it.
All right. Our next meeting, regular meeting of the school committee, is scheduled for Monday, June 9th, 2025, at 6 p.m. in the Dartmouth High School Media Library Center, as well as via live stream at the DHS TVM Media. And I am looking for a motion to move to executive session pursuant to MGLC 30A 21A3 to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, where an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the school committee's bargaining position, DAA and DEA, pursuant to MGLC 30A 21A3 to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, where an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the school committee's bargaining position, Dartmouth Education Association, and pursuant to MGL 30A 21A2 to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
And not return to open session.
Motion
We
made.
adjourn to executive session as you have described, and not return to open session.
A motion made by Mr. Noon, second
Second.
by Ms. Beckwith. Roll call, please.
Chris Oliver,
Yes.
Kathleen Emerald.
Yes.
John Nunes.
Yes.
Mary Beckwith.
Yes.
Ms. Coughlin.
Yes.
Good night.
Okay.